or
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Pinstripe Express. As always, I am joined by Uncle Tats of the Pinstripe Chronicles and NFE of the Strike Zone. How are we doing, boys?
we're doing really good on the Saturday. You watch. You're looking at the box score from today's game. Look, we're winning the World Series. We're going to break all records with the offense, and the proof is, show me a box score, from 2024 that shows that we're a losing franchise.
Yeah. You can also say that Spencer Jones was a key part of that, and so was Trent Grisham. They both went yard today. Grisham hit a 430-foot shot, I think it was, and Spencer Jones hit a 470-foot shot. So you can't be mad about that. But before we go any further, let's give a quick shout out to the chat. We've got Aiden, JJ, FL Diver, Jonathan is always here at the crack of dawn. We all know that. Let's see who else we got. We've got Donnie. We've got all you guys here today. Thank you for joining us.
But when when we're breaking down, look, it's one spring training game, right? It's fun to be a little optimistic, a little goofy about it, but it is one game. But it is what it does in the broad spectrum. It gives everybody a chance to have that optimism going forward. It's like we're starting on the right foot.
Yes.
And I think that's the important thing to take away from this. Grisham was that guy in the Soto trade that really nobody was giving a lot of attention to. So it was good to see that he came off on, he started off proper. Jones was a guy that, a lot of our streams have been going back and forth for a while. Should we have traded him? Should we not have? Was it the right move? Who would you trade him for? You have to make sure you keep his roster spot. He started off on the right foot. The pitching, he'll look really good. So it's, it's starting off, in the right way, and that's what makes you get a little giddy about it.
Absolutely. For someone who came off or who is coming off of Tommy John, it was really nice to see him do something and do it well. And that was a nice breath of fresh air to see that he was healthy and he was able to pitch. What are your thoughts on the fee?
Look, spring training, it's a nice preview, right? It's a nice preview. You get to see what these players are like. You get an idea of what these players are like. Are we going to see a 22-10 type of score in the regular season? Probably not. But, it was cool to see 22 runs being put up.
Yep.
People were a little, not everybody, but there was a few folks who were skeptical about like Trent Grisham. But he, you saw what he did today. Spencer Jones comes up, he hit a bomb, right? Yuri Perez, played well today too, right? So,
yep.
It's it was finally nice to see these guys hit and make contact with the ball. Yeah. And I think James Rawson, their new hitting coach, I think is going to with the lineup. I think he's approaching each player differently, just focusing on each of their strengths and where they can improve. Where it's like, he's trying not to go like a one-way approach, like just hit the ball hard. It's not just hitting the ball hard. There's mechanics to this. There's as far as how to swing the bat, and it all depends. Like, not everybody has to be a home run ball hitter, and that was the problem. Last season, everybody was trying to hit the ball out of the park. So, go ahead.
Yeah, that was the problem with Torres.
Right.
Torres got home run happy, and until we start to see And once we started, well, him specifically, because he's the anchor of those baby bombers, of the last run, from 17. He's one of those guys. When you saw it at the tail end of last season, when he started to level his swing and just focus on making contact, that's when you saw his numbers start to go back up. So that's why he really needs to keep that consistency. And the other one that's trying to re-level his swing is Volpe. So he's another one that you really want to start keeping an eye on. And we know the capabilities are there. What it comes down to is the consistency of it. Can you be consistent with not trying to be the all or nothing player? Because it doesn't fit.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Gleyber Torres because, Chris the Flash, right? Shout out to Chris. He said that he sees Volpe hitting 40 home runs, but I'm okay if he hits 28 home runs. And honestly, that's what I predict he hits. I want him hitting the ball into the gap, like into the outfield, like Sunil had mentioned that on your show on Monday night there, Tats. But it was just something that stuck with me because I'm glad you brought up Torres, but he just needs to be a guy that gets on base, hit for singles, hit for doubles. That's what I want out of Torres. I don't care if he hits 40 home runs. I'm okay if he hits 25 to 28 home runs. I'd be okay with that. I want him to be a contact hitter. It's the same with Volpe.
I agree with that. I think I can see Torres and Volpe each hitting 25. To be honest with you, I think Volpe needs to worry about getting on base, cutting down the strikeouts, and when he gets on base, he's got to worry about being that little pest on the base path.
No, Volpe could easily be like a 25 home run guy with between 50, 60 stolen bases. And like 30 to 40 doubles in a season. That I think that's realistic for expectations for him.
Yes,
because he does have the pop, and he has the speed to stretch a gapper into a double.
And that's the thing. He needs to worry about being that pest on the bases because, like Pat said, he can absolutely.
Kind of cut out.
I'm not worried about him hitting home runs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say with Volpe too. I mean, have you guys noticed that his swing looks a little different compared to where it was?
Judge said he adjusted his stance a little bit to try to get that swing level again.
But he's not like over swinging though. He's not like over committing. That's that's the thing I'm happy to see with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with his new stance, his shoulders now staying a little more level with the bat, with the swing, so he's able to kind of he's not trying to launch it. He's just trying to hit it. And that's going to be the key for Volpe this year. Just make same thing with Torres. I think the two of them could be pains in the asses at the plate. Volpe more on the bases because I still don't trust Torres on the bases. I got to see him, up his IQ on that. But as far as like at the plate, if those two can be consistent with their contact, I think that's going to set up the power hitters on the roster up much better.
Yeah, and a couple of people brought up Torres' name. I mean, Donnie Clark is saying, and if you hate to say it, but I don't think Torres gets brought back this offseason. And then he's also saying that he would want him to get it traded at the deadline. I don't see it personally. I think the Yankees are going to let him play it out his final year. That's what I think.
What they'll do is they're going to let him, and I agree with NFE on this. I think they're going to let him play it out, and then what I think they're going to do is they're going to give him a qualifying offer. Now, I doubt he's going to take that because he's going to want to get paid. And I want to give a shout out to Rob, who's in the chat as well. So, Rob had a point that he made on Tatz's show the other day, which was he's going to get paid.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not going to take that qualifying offer because he knows he's going to get paid. And he knows that if he has an outstanding year, like everybody knows he can have, he's going to look to get paid. So you've got to look at it like that. So, yeah, are we going to make him a qualifying offer? Yes. Is he going to take it? Probably not. Because, shout out to Rob for saying this because he made a great point. He's going to look to get that. He's going to look to cash in. He's still young enough that he will cash in and that he will make that money. So that's just something to think about.
And like I said that, to JJ's point here, his comment, he's, he puts in there, if we're not signing Gleyber, why not trade the guy and get some value back? Wasting his trade value makes no sense. His trade value was last year or the year before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. He's rebuilding his stock. And the one thing that this team has been at a fault for has been the lack of offense. So why would you, unless you're getting a significant pitcher and a bat in return, then
you're not
there's
going
no
to
point in taking away from your offense. Because that's what's been, haunting us in the postseason is the lack of run support for the pitching.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't see where it would make. Look, I have always said it. If the right deal falls in our lap, you have to make because you're not going to keep him long term. You have to pull the trigger. He's one of those guys.
Absolutely.
Look, it's going to suck to see him go, but if the deal is right, good luck wherever you're going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Torres is one of those players, man. There's certain players that didn't sign back with the Yankees, and I was okay. I was like, all right, cool.
Actually, can I cut you off real quick? There's with the Torres and the trading because this has been brought up a lot,
right?
And Donnie, I want to point this out. It was actually Miami that pulled the trigger on the last minute because they wanted Torres and an infield prospect.
That's what Rob just answered that for you, Tats. It was they wanted
Peraza
in that deal, and the Yankees said no, we're not doing that, and they said no to Peraza. So Miami's like, we're not doing the deal then.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. I've seen that in a couple of streams that I just haven't had the chance to.
Yeah, no, you're good. The only thing I was going to say was, Torres is one of those guys. It's complicated because I like the guy a lot. I really do, and his bat. He was one of the better bats, or he was the other good bat in that lineup last season, other than Judge. And then DJ turned it around in the second half. He was starting to look like DJ, but with Torres, it's complicated because. It's like I like the guy, and I wish he would be a lifetime Yankee. However, with the amount of infielders that the Yankees have coming up, it's just hard to keep him. And yeah, the Yankees aren't going to pay Soto and Torres. No, they're not. And I just don't see the Yankees paying him $20 to $25 million. So I think, like I said, I think they kept him because they know his bat's going to be valuable, especially with this lineup that they have now. So, like I said, I don't see him being traded at this year's deadline either. If you were going to trade him, it was supposed to happen at the last one, at the last deadline. So,
do you mind, NFP, just for 1 second? I'm not trying to cut you off, but
you're not trying.
I want to answer.
I said what I needed to say.
I would stay as far away from Luzardo as you possibly can. He is in a walking injury. Edward Cabrera, yes. By all means, do what you can to get Edward Cabrera. Yes, Rob, I am with you on that 110%. We know you love Edward Cabrera. I am all for it. Don't think I'm not.
Yeah.
I have been one of those people right there with you preaching Edward Cabrera. And JJ, we could use another pitcher,
Yep.
but we don't have to get another pitcher right now because we got to give Rodon the chance to show that he can be that number 1A. So we have to give him that shot to do it. And again, I'm going to say this once again: stay away from Luzardo. He has had way too many injury problems, and I would not even count that as an option. Dylan
No, I don't.
Cease, the only way I'm getting Dylan Cease is if that price comes down, which I doubt it will. I get why the White Sox have to sell high on him, but they're asking for way too much for a guy who's only had one outstanding season. Shane Bieber is probably the cheaper of them, and quite frankly, I think that's probably the more realistic option.
Yeah, it's the issue with Luzardo that I don't like is he came up through the A's camp, and any pitcher from Oakland, I have no trust in anymore.
Yeah.
It's so I'll get very hesitant on that. Look, I would take Cabrera in a heartbeat. I think
Absolutely.
that Dylan Cease, the price has to come down. It really does.
I'm not giving you Spencer Jones and Chase Hampton for that. Forget that.
No,
because that's what they were asking for.
And you know
that's
what
they were asking for.
Now, for argument's sake, say they said, look, we'll back off of Jones, and we'll take Pereira instead, but you still have to give us either Warren or Hampton. Does that change the narrative of the
That's still a no for me.
That's still a no for me. Yeah.
And I'll give you my reasons why. First off, Will Warren has one of the highest upsides for our pitching prospects. Chase Hampton has been compared to a Garrett Cole-like stuff. So why would I give those two up for a guy who's only had one good year, even though, yes, he has, 2 years of control left?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's why it's going to take one of your pitches.
Okay. I would rather give up a Clayton Beater for that. Honestly. If you want my honest opinion, if they backed off and said, we will take Pereira and Clayton Beater, I might consider doing that.
Yeah, because
that's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't trade Will Warren or Chase Hampton because those guys.
Absolutely.
Will Warren is he could already be our number 3. So let's keep that in mind. And Chase Hampton, same thing with him. He could be our number. He could be our number 3. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to trade either one of those guys to get a Dylan Cease. But there was a mention of Shane Bieber. I mean, he's a 1-year rental if the Yankees were to trade for him.
It's not going to cost them nearly as much.
This is true. It's not going to cost a lot. I mean, in that one, you could give up Pereira in that trade. It wouldn't cost a lot, Now, NFL Diver, real quick, I was going to say FL Diver, I agree with his comment here. He says that Hampton has higher upside. Absolutely, he does. So.
You're right. And we're going to get to the Snell issue in a second.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'm probably most excited about is tomorrow's game at George M. Steinbrenner Field, because this is where, for 2 reasons. One, Rodon gets a chance. Well, yes, it is on TV, but Rodon gets a chance to prove himself. He gets that chance to take that step in the right direction and to prove himself and to prove that he is worth the money that we gave him and to prove himself that he is that 1A behind Cole. So that's number 1. And 2, we get to see arguably the best player in the sport play at George M. Steinbrenner Field in the pinstripes for the first time in Juan Soto. So I'm very much excited about that.
Yeah, so yeah, and between Aiden just threw it in there. Stroman too, is another one. What's going on, Dane? How you been, bro?
What's up,
You know,
Dane?
it, uh,
What's up, Dane?
also, not even just quick shout out to everybody in the chat. JJ Diva, Tim King, Aiden, Mr. Coco Nuts. It's good to see you in the chat.
Rob.
We got Terry, Rob, Jonathan. I think Jonathan sleeps. I think he sleeps less than us, the hosts of all these shows. Sean Browning, what's going on, Sean? There's so many of you, man.
I
You
was
guys
just gonna
are
say
killing
real
it.
quick, I'm glad Rob came in because I did my happy dance like he did. So
Yeah.
you're welcome, Rob.
Hey, are you guys cool with Dane jumping on with us? Just
Nope.
asking.
Yeah, that's fine.
You don't say no to him.
Yeah,
But-
I don't say no.
But if you are enjoying the discussion, while we set that up for you guys, just hit that like button. If you haven't, hit that sub button. Let's try to get Mazda to that 500 mark. You guys know exactly how to do that. But yeah,
We see you, Donnie.
yeah. Believe me, Donnie, you're rising up the ranks there, bro. It's one of those you really want to know what you're getting out of these guys. But as far as guys that are up for a trade, I think Jones, Arias, Hampton, and Warren are in that cluster of guys that, unless there's a sense of severe urgency where your season's on the line, you cannot move those guys.
Absolutely. Oh, I 100% agree. And especially if you look at, I'm going to take today's game for example, because you brought up a great point, Tats, how they are clearly the untouchables. If you look at what Spencer Jones just did to Detroit in that spring training game, as a little sneak peek of what he can do, that should tell you everything you need to know about this kid. He hit 260 something, hit 16 bombs, and stole 43 bases last year in the minors. That is freakish for a kid his size. He's about 6'6", 235 or something, almost about Judge's height, give or take.
Yeah.
And he's stealing 43 bases. That is freakish for a kid that size. No one that size should be able to do that. So that should give you an indication right there why Jones is untouchable.
Yep. And Coconuts is asking because I know there is a deadline. Is it in April of when the team
I think
will lose
so.
a pick with international money?
I think
that expires after a certain point, doesn't it?
I think it expires in May or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, if anybody does know, please inform us in the chat. Believe it or not, Mazda does not know everything.
I know. I mean, I wish I did, but it's shocking, and I shocked myself. But hey.
Jacob Petrucci joined the chat. What's going on, Jacob? We got the MLB channels hanging out with us. That's awesome.
Hey, we have no rails. It's been gone.
Bryce Baloney, how's it going? Look, we all want to. It all comes down to it. Really, at what point do you sacrifice a winning season for the future? And I think that's a pivotal point. We're not at now, but we can be as the trade deadline approaches and how the standings go. And that's where we're as fans. My gut tells me we're going to have to make a crucial decision. Mm-hmm. Do we risk having the season collapse? Well, I don't want to say collapse. Do we take the risk of not having a championship caliber team, whether it's an injury or whatever the situation is? Another team out of nowhere is just outperforming us. do you move on from these guys that we're saying you can't? Because if we take that risk and we just completely just fall on our faces, that might be a sign to Soto that this is not a serious organization for winning and not want to come back.
You know, look, I would love for the Yankees to win this year. Like, I want them. Obviously, we all do, right? Like, I mean, all of us do. Everybody in the chat, us on the panel here. You know, we all want the Yankees to win in 2024. But, you know, and I asked this question on one of your shows there, Tats. It's just, you know, do we want to just win for 1 year and sacrifice everything we have and then not win again for years to come because we depleted our farm system? Because at the same time, we do want to try and, you know, maintain some of these guys, right, in our farm system and bring these guys up to the majors. So I don't, you know, I'm all for, you know, all in for 2024, but I don't want to just have one championship. I still want to continue building for the long term, and that way, hopefully, right, you know, the Yankees can win, you know, 2 or 3 championships in a row. Like, they can win 2 or 3 years in a row. If not 2 or 3 years in a row, like, let's just say every you know, out of those, like, you know, 6 or 7 years that they win 3 or 4 of them. Like, I don't want them to go on this dry streak again that they're in right now. So that's kind of what I'm afraid of.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, what's going on, Dane?
What's up, Dane? How you doing, man?
Good, guys. How are you?
Good.
Pretty good.
What'd you
Oh,
think?
sorry, that would might help.
There you go. What'd you think of Spencer Jones's 470-foot bomb here today?
Did you hear the sound off the bat? He caught all of that one. Gosh, my lighting.
I heard the sound all right.
Yeah. No,
I don't think that thing has landed yet. Thing has landed yet.
No, but the more important thing for me about Jones today was that he went 3 for 3. He got off to a horrible start last spring training. I think he was 1 for 8 with 7 strikeouts. So getting off to a 3 for 3 start is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything that stood out today to you, Dane, as far as
the bat path? The bat path on Spencer Jones, that looked like he's actually added some launch, which for Spencer Jones, that's a really good thing because he had a low launch angle last year. That's why the highest average exit velocity only ended up being 16 home runs. So he's added some launch, as you can see with that home run. Vivas, I've been waiting to see him. And from what I saw, he's a pretty exciting player. There's one other kid that had Luis Torres kind of surprised me a little bit. He hit well.
Yeah. What did you think of Grosjean?
Trent?
Grisham? Trent Grisham?
No, hold on. Let me look up his name.
Okay. That's where it gets tricky with spring training because you get some of these guys that you never even heard of. You don't know how to pronounce their names. You don't, you know. Yeah. Sometimes you look at the box score, you're like, where the hell did he come from?
Trust me, it's happened to me a couple times this year too. I'm going, who in the hell is that?
For you to say that.
Yeah. Grosjean's. Yeah, thank you, Rob. He knows who I'm talking about. Jordan Grosjean's. He's an infielder.
Oh, the kid that came from Florida.
From Miami?
Yes. You know, he was a really interesting prospect. He was a top 100 prospect at one time. Really supposed to be a good player. He just never translated to the major leagues. I do not know much about him as far as tools and grades and all that. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him, actually.
Yeah, cool. Because that was a name I saw, and that kind of stood out to me. And I'm like, oh wait, I totally forgot about this guy. I just wanted to see what he was going to be like, you know, playing because I know he played today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys
So,
talk about Nick
Tats-
Birdie yet?
No, we haven't.
Not yet.
No.
You guys seen anything from him? He's throwing 100 with a wipeout slider.
I have not seen that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get to catch any. I didn't catch a lot of it, to be honest with you.
He didn't.
Not
I'm just
having,
talking about.
there's no radio
bullpen.
to go off of. There's no TV, which I hate about spring training. I think
Mhm.
that's something. I understand it's a money issue, right? But that we have you on here with us, Dane, and you and Mazda do work on getting all the information on prospects. My morning co-host Rob, he's on top of it.
Rob
me
does a
not so
fantastic
much
job too.
But that's why I like spring training, because I get to learn about these guys.
Yeah.
Does baseball need to address how the fans are getting the content of spring training? Because it seems like they just kind of push it to the side because it doesn't count.
Yeah, it would seem that that's what they do. I think that every single spring game should be televised just like the regular season.
Yeah.
I think there's enough people that would be interested in it that they would tune in. I mean, how could you not want to see, especially this spring with Soto and all those guys? It would, if every game was televised, it'd be really nice.
Yeah, it's also the ratings for the networks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Could you imagine the backlash if Soto would have been in today's lineup and it wasn't? There was no.
Oh
radio
my
on TV?
God.
Oh, the fans would have lost it.
I would have.
So would I.
I mean, look, and there's a lot of YouTube content. Like Pete does a phenomenal job with the game, game season. All right, I'm not taking any, but it does give an avenue for guys like Pete. I think Jason did, was following. Excuse me, but we really need something more on the national level. You don't need to have Kay doing every game or John.
No, they.
Give these interns a chance to kind of shine a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Yeah, they could find somebody to do it, and it would. I think it would be nice to get some other voices in the box in spring training, just so you could hear, because those guys are getting up there in age. How long are Kay and those guys really going to be there?
Like maybe Justin Shackle, give him a handful of games.
Yeah, that's the name I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Who had asked a question earlier before Dane jumped on, Tats? And it was, when do you... Is it
okay.
on the line?
Maz?
Yeah, you're frozen.
And I'm going to add...
Repeat that?
You were talking about earlier. Is it worth dumping the farm at some point if the season is on the line? I forgot how you worded it.
Yeah. Well, what I was asking was, I'll say it with Daniel. I'll repeat it. All right. And what's going on, Brad? Welcome, Sunil. Shut up.
Jonathan, hello.
If you get to a crucial point in the season, like here are I think there's four guys. Like you have Jones, Arias, Warren, and Hampton. Anything outside of those are the guys that the only way that I'm including them in any type of deal is if the season, due to some type of injury, is at a serious risk of completely collapsing. Like, is there a point where we would feel comfortable saying, we can't let the season get away from us. We might have to get rid of one of these guys. What's the comfort level with doing something like that?
I think that Warren could be moved pretty easily because he's the most major league ready of those guys. I think that they have more high ceiling pitching coming that could be even better than Will Warren. So if we needed to move him for some reason, there's still a problem with Jones and where he's going to play, because Jones, Judge, Soto, and Dominguez with Stanton still here, that's difficult to figure out. So I don't know what you would have to get back for him to feel comfortable trading him, but I think that would still be on the table. The three guys I'm not trading are Arias, Lalane, and Lombard.
Okay. I know Lalane is building a lot of steam and is falling into that category for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't know if I would be willing to trade them, and I think it's because I would like to see more from them, more out of them. And I think that with the Yankees and the moves that they have made, and this is going to get into our next topic because this has been brought up multiple times in the chat. The Yankees are saying that they're going all in this year.
Mm-hmm.
Cashman has said the pencils are not down. Steinbrenner has said that they don't care about the luxury tax. Forget the luxury tax. If we are still looking to bring in another piece to make this team better than what it already is. And that brings us to the next topic, which is Blake Snell. And I know we're all sick and tired of this whole Blake Snell drama.
No, call it what it is. It's bullshit.
We're all sick and tired of it. But Jeff Passan, and I want to give Jason of 161 River Ave a shout out for this because he brought this up. But Jeff Passan has reported that Blake Snell is down to his final two teams, the Angels and the Yankees. Does this kind of give you an inkling of where this might end up going?
Coming from Passan, look, it does give the rumor coming back into the fold a little validity. I just look. I hope it happens. I was optimistic, earlier in the week. I get very nervous with pitches once spring training games start.
Absolutely.
One game. You miss one game, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Yep.
So I would take them, but it would make me very nervous for the beginning of the season.
Yes, absolutely, I agree.
I'm not sure about Snell. There are points that it would be great to have him. I mean, you're adding the Cy Young Award winner to the other Cy Young Award winner. Yeah. But what's the actual cost going to be? If they could get it down to the 23, 24 AAV range, maybe that might make some sense because the luxury tax calculated at the end of the year, not the beginning of the year. So maybe they move some salary at the deadline and they don't end up in the luxury penalty. I'm not worried about losing the draft picks. The Yankees do well enough in later rounds that they can make up for losing a second and a fifth. It's the international free agency money that would really hurt to lose because the kid that they have signed in the class next year is a shortstop, center fielder, and a pitcher. He plays shortstop right-handed. He plays center field left-handed. He pitches right-handed. And basically he's Florial with no holes in his swing athletically. So and they have him signed for $3.2 million, I believe. I would hate to lose him.
Yeah.
But
I see the thing with Snell, it's really going to come down to the con. He's not getting the 90. I think it's come down to that. We all know. I think that's been accepted by Snell, not by Boras, but Snell. He's not getting the 9 years that Boras promised him, and that's the other thing. No. He's got an agent that gives out false promises.
Yes,
but I think the original offer that was going around was
6 for $150.
6 for $150.
Yes.
Donnie puts it out. What about 4 for $140? Pay him. That's $35 a year.
Here's the thing, though. Boras has made an ass out of himself this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
And he has screwed his clients. And you know what? Teams aren't fighting at what Boras is asking. And the problem with what Boras is doing is He's sitting here saying, "Oh, I'm going to get you X, Y, and Z," but now teams are catching on to it, and they're not giving X, Y, and Z. They're giving A, B, and C instead. So they're saying, "Okay, well, you want this, but guess what? I don't care that he's won a second Cy Young. We're not giving him this. We don't see that kind of value in him."
Yeah.
So Boras is screwing his clients each and every day, and I'm glad the Yankees have stood firm and packed with what they've done. For one, and number two, I honestly believe the Yankees have the upper hand over Boras, and Boras cannot stand that. That drives him up a wall.
Well,
Yeah, I
just
was
like a
gonna
lot
s-
of our shows have said, they've called him out on his bullshit. They're not putting up with him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Anthony.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say at this point with Blake Snell, look, if the Yankees get him, great. If they don't get him, oh well. Like I'm not
It's
really
not the
worried.
end of the world.
It really is not the end of the world. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
All right. Would I like for them to get another starter? Absolutely. I would love for them to get another starter, but I'm just not I'm not worried about them not getting Snell if they don't get Snell. I'm honestly not worried about it. And with the starting rotation that they have right now, honestly, when we're gonna see Rodon's pitching tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so
Yeah.
is Stroman, Marcus Stroman. So those are two guys that they're Rodon needs a bounce back year, and I think he's gonna. I'm confident that he's gonna do well. I really do. I think he's gonna come in. I think he's gonna come back like a bulldog. And yeah, Brad, he could go kick rocks. And Jason, my guy.
What's going on, Jason?
Yeah, what's up? What's up? So yeah, no, I do think that with the starting rotation that they have right now, I feel good about it. Yeah, there's some question marks there are, but I'm hoping to see a better performance out of guys like Rodon, out of Cortez. To me, Cortez is the big. He's a question mark for me, but I honestly think he'll do well as long as his shoulder holds up. So, that's my concern with him.
Yeah, I want to bring up this comment
Mhm.
from JJ here
Mm-hmm.
because I think he makes a really good point. Right, the way starting pitchers are falling injured, Boras might look like a genius. Holding on to Monty and Snell. And I want to bring up, I know it's not our team, but to his point, look what the Mets are dealing with now with Senga. You can't
Right.
tell me
Mhm.
that Joe to Montgomery wouldn't slide in perfectly to that rotation. Especially if you're reuniting
Absolutely.
him. But think about this aspect: reuniting him with Semi,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the camaraderie between those two to put into that organization. I think. I mean, as much as I would like Monty back on this team, I don't think it's realistic.
Nope.
I want to see Monty go to the best situation for him. And I got to say, it's Queens.
No, don't sleep on the Red Sox.
I wouldn't sleep on the Red Sox. I was just about to say that.
Oh.
But my
The Red
thing with there's a difference between Monty and Snell, and that is that QO. Snell is attached to a QO. Monty isn't.
I'm not okay about the QO though. Our farm is deep enough where one draft isn't going to set us back.
No,
And
but
we
I was
have
saying
enough
it in,
pieces to trade for international money to get that back.
I was saying
It'd
it
be
in
very
terms
hard
of
to
the
get $1 million,
IFA.
but yeah. Just as an example, Samuel Basallo is the number 10 rated prospect in all of baseball. We went over the tax a couple years ago, lost $1 million, and now he's an Oriole instead of a Yankee. That's what happens in international free agency when you lose your top
Fair
guy.
enough.
Yeah. And I know Basallo, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's hurt right now. He has a problem with his throwing shoulder, if I'm not mistaken.
He does.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
but he's still a huge trade asset.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
Yeah, but that's the same risk. It's I not in the specific details of it, but you run the same risk with the Rule 5 draft. You can only have so many people on your roster.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you start seeing like weird, additions to trades, trading for cash, and all that type of crap. But no, I think that this team is set up right now where I don't think for one player that we can really use is worth worrying about, one draft and the international money. And that's just my opinion.
That's fair. If they were going to do it, this was the year to do it, to lose the next 3 years after this, they aren't going to be signing anyone attached to a qualifying offer. I can promise you that with the kids they have lined up.
Yeah.
So this is the year to do it. Is Snell the right guy though? He's only pitched 180 innings twice. Granted, he was won a Cy Young in both those years, but the years after he's won a Cy Young, he hasn't pitched well. So are we getting with a late start? Are we going to get the best version of Snell?
Well, that goes to what I said before. How much longer do we wait before we say, you know what? I'm not taking a risk of having a season like Rodon did last year. I don't get. It's not that he signed late, but we saw what happens when a player doesn't get a full spring.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I agree with that. And Donnie says the Yanks should have anteed up and gave more for Burnes. What I would like to know is, what would you have given up for Corbin Burnes for a year of Corbin Burnes? We're not talking 2 or 3 years. We're talking a year of Corbin Burnes, knowing that he will not resign and that he will test the free agent market.
Same thing as Juan Soto. I would, if there was one guy to trade for pitching wise, to me it was Burnes. He's a top 5 starter. You stack him and Cole, I don't think you get a whole lot better than that. He was the one guy I would have given up Jones for. But in addition to Jones, I wouldn't have been willing to give up much of anything. So,
yeah, look, I think it really sucks to say it, but I think that the Yankees made the right decision.
Probably.
Because the package wasn't going to come together to agree. And rather than just get rid of a couple of these top guys that, Cashman's not even saying they're untouchable. The fans are. So, we don't want to see these guys go. I think it's got to be worth the risk. Of saying no. You know what? Let's look at the trade route another way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have traded Spencer Jones for Corbin Burnes if Corbin Burnes had like 2 or 3 more years of control.
Absolutely.
I would have done that in a heartbeat, but
absolutely. For a year of Corbin Burnes, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, respectfully, I wouldn't do it either, but that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
For sure.
That's the one guy.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And I respect that. I couldn't give up. I don't blame the Yankees for not giving up Spencer Jones. I
don't either.
I wouldn't.
And I think you've got to respect Cashman and Hal Moore for saying no to that because they believe in Spencer Jones. And I think you've got to respect the fact that they are saying Spencer Jones is going to be our future outfielder, possibly, maybe even a first baseman. Who knows? But I think they did the right thing, and I'm with Tats on that as well. I think they did the right thing. I think, if anything, they can go and trade for Bieber. Forget about Dylan Cease. He is not somebody that we're going to be able to get because the White Sox are going to ask for the arm, a leg, a foot, and your head and your fucking head for him, which I don't feel like giving up because I don't think he's honestly worth it. I think he's a good pitcher, not to take anything away from him, not to take away the fact that he's pitched over 200 innings for 3 consecutive years, as well as striking out over 200 guys. That's great and all, but he's only had one outstanding year. So I'm not giving up everything for a guy who's had one great year.
Yeah, Dylan Cease at best to me is he's another like number 3 starter. It's not like he's a number 1 starter in a rotation. I mean, I wouldn't put him, you know, I know some people feel like he's better than number 3, but I disagree with that.
I agree with you. If he was a number 1 starter, like a Pedro Martinez kind of starter, okay, now we can talk.
Sure,
but he's not.
Yeah,
I've said it on multiple occasions. If there's one guy I would give up Spencer Jones for, it would be Yuri Perez. But that's it.
That one I would agree with you. I mean, just because Yuri Perez comes with a lot of years of control, like we talked about many times, and dude's he's a beast. You know, he reminds me of a young Pedro Martinez.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
You know, I'm not saying he's like Pedro Martinez. He just reminds me of him because of his how
he's got the Pedro. He has a Pedro Martinez kind of arsenal, which is scary to think of.
Yeah. I would have that one I would have made an exception trading Spencer Jones. It would have hurt.
Absolutely.
But Yuri Perez, I won't think twice on that one. I'll do that right now.
I would even give him Jason Dominguez for Yuri Perez if you were going to offer me that.
Well, you might
in a heartbeat
attacking you now.
That's fine, but that's the only guy I make that exception for. That's my point.
Yeah, he's about the only guy in baseball you would move Jason Dominguez for, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. I wanted JJ asked this question over here. I just wanted to pull that up. I don't think they go after Zach Wheeler personally. Corbin Burnes, maybe. You know, right now.
No, they won't, because the kid that they have attached to the class next year is a $5.5 million bonus guy. And if they go under the number for him, they lose him. And this is a generational kid.
You're talking about the player who plays pitcher, center field, and shortstop?
No. The next class after that is what Corbin Burnes or Zach Wheeler would affect. And that's Wandy Asijan.
Okay. And what is his position? I'm not familiar.
Yeah,
he's a short.
That's a new name for me.
He's another shortstop.
Wow. Okay.
Switch hitting shortstop, 110 miles an hour off the bat as a 14-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
And he's
you just said 110 and 14.
Yes.
The kid that they have. No, I'm going to blow your mind here. The kid that they just locked up for 2028 is 12 years old, a switch hitting shortstop, and it hits 107 miles an hour with a wood bat from both sides of the plate. They had to get a bone scan to confirm he was 12, and they did.
Oh my God.
Damn.
That is insane. Yeah, and it seems like the Yankees are just loading up on infielders. Like that seems to be one of their long-term goals is just keep.
Yeah, but that's also the Yankees' problem. All right, let me interject here a little bit.
Sure.
See, we get all these infielders, and we got 25 catches. We got 55 shortstops. I think two first basemen. But we hear all these names, and then it's like every year, no, this guy's untouchable. And then as soon as the next guy's coming through the pipeline, oh no, now it's this kid. It's like every season there's a new flavor coming out, and we can't make up our minds. And then the team don't know which plays to even. They don't know what to do with them, and that's why, as my co-host Don always says, that's why they get yanktified, because they don't. There's no room for these guys.
Especially with the amount of domestic players that you can have going down to 155 stateside, I believe, this year. There's just not going to be as many positions available in the system. But the thing with those young kids, they're all shortstops or center fielders when they're 14 or 15, whatever. They'll move around. Those are the most athletic guys, so they can move around to other positions the easiest. He
But
could end up at
Diver, it's not a good thing to have. Look, we kept saying for years the reason that we could afford to pass up on Correa and see Volpe's coming through the pipeline, and then as soon as we started learning about Peraza, Volpe, now he sucks. You can't put him at shortstop. You got to find somewhere else for him. Dominguez, no, you can't trade him for Luis Castillo. He's our future. Nobody's even one injury, and they already cast him aside for Jones. It's like it drives me crazy. It really does. It's like can we not just toss these guys to the side because of one injury or one rough start to the career?
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where it's like just let it flow on its own.
Yeah,
I just think it gets too cluttered.
It's too chaotic.
Yeah, and it just drives me absolutely crazy.
No,
I think
go ahead, man.
No, I was just going to say, I think the reason why they're loading up on high ceiling talent is they're really worried an international draft is coming. So they won't have the ability to draft these kids because they'll draft in a similar position that they do stateside. They'll never be able to get these top kids again. So they're loading up on the best that they can possibly get for the next 3 or 4 years before this CBA is up.
Yeah, with only 9 positions, how do you properly gauge what players to push through the pipeline or not? Like, because every year there's a different metric that comes out into existence. It's like there's always something new that they're putting together about these players, and it's to boost one guy while deteriorate another. So it just I need it explained to me why or how this all works. Where every year there's just a new flavor of the month that we can't get rid of. That's untouchable. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I think who's untouchable to the fan base is very, very different from who's untouchable to Brian Cashman and the guys making deals. I don't think that they view that many guys as completely untouchable. I don't think they would trade Volpe, and I don't think they would trade Dominguez. Other than that, I think that they would probably be willing to move just about anybody in the right deal.
Absolutely.
And to add to the prospect thing, and I'm not putting Jason Dominguez to the side. I never have. I'm looking forward to him coming back and playing. I really am. As a matter of fact, I'm looking forward. I think that he will take over for Alex Verdugo's spot come 2025. I don't think the Yankees are going to sign him back. So I do envision an outfield with Judge, Dominguez, Soto, right? If everything goes according to plan. As far as, the prospects, I mean, I'm glad the Yankees have these many options. What I don't want them doing, and I've said this before, I don't want them prospect hugging. I don't want, if these guys are not going to get played, then use them in a trade. Don't waste them. Right? Because that pisses that's annoying.
That's the worst thing the Yankees have done is held on too long to these guys.
Because they did that. Yeah, go for it, Dave. Sorry.
They've held on to these guys too long, and Brian Cashman and Mike Fishman have to get better at knowing when to maximize these kids' value. They obviously have an idea who they think from a very young age who's going to actually have a chance to be a long-term player on the Yankees. I mean, I think they view Roderick Arias that way, George Lombard that way. But outside of there's probably 5 or 6 guys in the system that end up Yankees in the whole system. The rest are trade pieces.
Mike Fishman's a joke.
Yeah,
he's terrible. I can't
yeah,
stand him.
Fishman's bad, but for his sake, I mean, let's just hope that as far as analytics goes, that improves going into this year because I'm sure Aaron Judge on the last game of the season against the Royals when he was being interviewed, he did mention something about the analytics. He did say that the Yankees have all the tools to succeed. I think he was trying to tell us and tell the people that were interviewing him like those tools are not being utilized the way they need to be utilized, and he did make a mention of analytics. So that this past offseason, he sat down with Hal, and Hal even acknowledged it when he was interviewed that I did sit down with Aaron Judge and we talked that they talked for a little while. So I'm sure one of those conversations was probably about analytics and. Because you saw the frustration on his face when he was talking about it. But this time around, though, when he was talking to the press a couple of days ago, he looked much happier. He looked like he was content. He looked, he felt like his
more
voice
at ease.
He was more at ease. He felt his voice was heard. And so, he was the one that pushed for Verdugo, and the Yankees got him. He was the one that pushed for James Rawson, and they got him for Honey Nut Cheerios. Yo, I'll take Honey Nut Cheerios all day, every day, 7 days a week. I love my Honey Nut Cheerios.
You throw in some Lucky Charms, then we got a deal.
Yeah, Honey Nut Cheerios. I mean, yeah, it'll help lower cholesterol too. So I think that'll be good for you, Steele. Yeah, but anyway, no, I do think that as far as Fishman goes, I hope, again, for him, for his sake, I hope he does make improvements on the analytics and, and the team is, knows how to use it. I just, analytics is here to stay. It's just a matter of utilizing
properly using it.
Exactly. And the Yankees did a terrible job using it last year.
They have addressed that this winter. They have, Hal Steinbrenner talked about it 2 days ago. They have brought in a special coach. It was a former college coach who is very fluent in analytics, but is also a player's guy. Judge has spent time with him and approved him. And so that's how they're going to funnel that Mike Fishman information down from now on, is have it go through this guy who can break it up for the players as to what they really need or what they really should hear. I think they took a positive step in that direction to fixing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think we're, this upcoming season, I think we're going to see some changes in terms of analytics and how that gets utilized. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, it's spring training and, regular season is right around the corner. We're only a month away, right? So we'll just have to see how it all plays out.
So, Dan, I want to ask you this question. I haven't had a chance. This came up on one of our morning streams. I approached this. You're going to have a situation as the season goes on with a healthy Dominguez, all right, once he gets back. All right, so you're going to finish off the year. You got Verdugo, Judge, Soto. It's going to be your main outfield. You're not Dominguez in the mix. He'll be utilized as your fourth outfielder. That's my guess, just to not rush him back, but utilize what you can out of him. Going into next year, you're going to have a situation where you're going to have Jones ready, Dominguez, Judge, and you're also going to have you have the possibility of Soto staying. How would you align your outfield? Like who becomes the fourth outfielder?
I would have Judge and Stanton rotate right field and DH personally, with Jones in center field and Dominguez in left field. I'd eat the $86 million left on Stanton. Just take the loss and move on if he has another horrible year.
Mm-hmm.
Jones is by far the best defensive center fielder of all of those guys. Dominguez is made for left field in Yankee Stadium. That's just going to be his reads and routes in center field are not great, but in left field, they're pretty good. So he's actually going to be a better left fielder than he would be a center fielder.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that was all.
I'm just talking. It wasn't as much of a whisper in my head as it. But we do. It's going to wrap things for us. Pinstripe Express. Dane, thanks for jumping on with us and clarifying.
Sure.
Things. Thanks for putting up with my little rant there.
No problem. Anytime you guys want me.
Yeah, but we appreciate everybody that's been in the chat joining us on the Pinstripe Express. We will be letting everybody know as the weeks go on when the next episode will be. It will be on NFE's channel, The Strike Force. So make sure you jump over there because we will be rotating the streams. Yeah,
Strike Zone.
I don't know if you know what I say.
Strike Force.
Strike Force.
Oh.
Minago, it's all good.
Don't sub to the Strike Force. Strike to the Strike Zone. But see, Maz, you're not the only one that's tired. But we do appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Remember, just wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard and enjoy the rest of spring training on this weekend. Because tomorrow we get to look forward to Soto, and I can't wait.
Yep.
But
I can't either.
I was doing so well this show. I really was. But